Like we have this trial fest today. We appreciate you folks being with us this morning. Commissioner Civics, out of town engagement us this morning, muddle through. And then next week, I need to be out of town, I think. And so Commissioners Lewatis and Fix will probably be okay on. Did we figure that out? Are we okay?
Yes.
Are you sure? No. Yeah. All right. So anyway, we're excited this morning to get an update on workforce development, and Economic Development Director Szabrak has some guests with him today that I think are going to help kind of flesh out what's going on here. And I'll just let you know, and I know you know, and other folks may have gathered over the last few years anyway. We view our collective efforts at workforce development as being a huge part of what we can and should be doing as a county government to try to help folks on that path to gainful employment. So we're all in and excited to hear your update.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioners are all in. That's one of the great things about workforce development. As I look across the state, in the 88 counties, I would say that our commissioners are pushing workforce development more than any other county in the state. They don't have, a lot of counties don't have workforce development departments. Economic development is their own thing, and their focus seems to be just to bring businesses to town, and that sometimes is it. So the fact that we're trying to help our current businesses by having a building like the Workforce Center is great. And one of the things so today we're really going to focus on the programs at the Workforce Center, since we have our partners from Hocking College and Ohio University with us. So this is our main team that runs the Workforce Center, but Deshawn, Toney, our deputy director, she serves sort of as the principal of the Workforce Center to help get all of the nuts and bolts done and moving along. Dr. Lewatis, McNeal, and Dr. Carissa Anderson are kind of running co-pilot with the OUL campus currently until they hire a new dean. But it's been wonderful to work with the two of them. And then Dr. Tudor and Amanda Lemke, who can't be with us today, she had a prior engagement at the Hocking College side of things. And we have a leadership meeting every other week where we all get together and talk and discuss through these things. Also from our team, just to introduce everybody, we have Jenny Sturgeon, who has done an amazing job welcoming everybody, keeping things in order at the Workforce Center. Carissa, who's our career navigator, has been with us for 4 years now and is now focused fully on the students at the Workforce Center because there's a lot and more coming. Bailey Fields, who is our employer services specialist on the Workforce Development Board side, who works with local businesses in Pickaway and Fairfield counties, and Adam Szabrak, who's taken a lot of stuff off our plates on the WIOA side. So I did want to highlight our award that we just won. As I mentioned, across the state, OEDA Ohio Economic Development Association has a contest where you can submit for awards. They narrowed it down to 3 finalists. So last Thursday we were Oscar style, one of the 3 finalists, where they announced whether you win or lose, which was a little nerve-wracking. I was working on my congratulations to the winner, but I actually talked to somebody who was on my panel, and they said, what we're doing here blew away everybody else, and it does. We have 3 NACO awards for what we've done for workforce development, and that's something that we tout. Stephanie Bosco, who's the Economic Development Director in Lancaster, she touts that, pushes that, and says, we have this award-winning workforce programs. So that's how I'm going to have folks come up and talk. So Deshawn Toney, who's our Deputy Director, she has handled the summer camps. And this last year, we had an amazing summer camp programs. So, Deshawn? I know I have.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Uh, Summer Camp, Explore Summer Camp 2023 was a huge success. We offered our youth an opportunity to learn about the skilled trades and have fun while doing it. Our students entering the program were entering grades 6th, 7th, and 8th and enrolled in schools throughout the school district of Fairfield County. During camp, they had an opportunity to learn to code. They learned to build robots. They were challenged by their instructors to come up with innovative ideas about technology, what it would look like, how it would be used, and build those as they went along. They were also challenged by their instructors to build an ocean trash collector. And they had to do these things in teams. So it was a really great team building activity for them. They also learned about solar power by building solar bugs and solar cars. And in the Builders Camp, they learned how to use tools, some of them for the first time. They learned to do measurements of the equipment that they had, some of them again for the first time. They also learned the importance of safety in these trades. During our Healthcare Heroes Camp, students learned how to find their blood type. They learned how to swab for COVID. They learned how to swab for strep. And then they learned some of the basic CPR first aid skills. Every Friday, parents were invited to come out and hear directly from the instructors and directly from students about the activities that took place within the classroom. They also learned from some of our employer partners about jobs within the industry. And on July the 12th, NBC News came out and covered our all-girls STEM camp. I don't have that video for you, but you can find that one online. What I do have, that I think they have a link to, we have a link to that? We have a link for our Toney Tech Bot.
I'll use instructions.
As Rick said, that video was created by one of our all-girls STEM camp Tech Bot instructors from Ohio University by the name of Trevor Warfield. So in addition to them learning those really cool hands-on skills, as you can see in that video, some of the things that he highlighted, the skills that they learned were problem solving, critical thinking. They learned how to work as a team, and they learned some leadership skills, and those are equally as important as the hands-on trades that they learn. You saw the numbers earlier. We enrolled 240 students and we served 196. What that slide did not tell you was that that is double, actually more than double the numbers from last year. So we could not have been that successful without some of our partners. So our partners included Hocking College, Ohio University, Lancaster City Schools, and Pickerington City Schools. They lent their skills to teach our students all of these trades that you see here. They also were able to help our other instructors they took off their teachers' hats and offered their support to instructors. So that's why we were able to be that successful in this process. We will roll right into Discovery Days. I have some numbers here for Discovery Days. So this year, as of this year, we have had 125 students attend our Discovery Days thus far. HVAC has seen 54 students, carpentry 28, electrical 35, water 11, and industrial technology 39, phlebotomy 32. We have two more Discovery Days that are going to take place on the 21st and 22nd, and we are expecting more than 50 during that time. So we will have a large number of students participating from each of our 8 school districts, and we look forward to having a successful school year pre-apprenticeship program. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sue.
Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, everyone. I will say again, my name is Lewatis McNeal. I'm the Vice Provost for Regional Higher Education with Ohio University and currently also serving as Interim Dean of Campus. So I will not stay up here too long. Don't have a lot of information to share other than we're just excited to continue this partnership. So our engineering technology and our phlebotomy programs are two successful programs that Rick has talked about. You probably heard a lot about throughout the time. So we have our second, we have 2 faculty in the engineering technology program that we've hired. Most recently, Deshawn mentioned Trevor Warfield. We also have Mark Heil, and they are our instructors. And the unique thing about this particular program is we are working with, there we go. It has 2 standalone certificates. So what we love about this program is it gives students the opportunity to get in, get some skill, get some experience doing that, and they are stackable standalone certificates that will eventually build to an associate's degree. So as we think about our pathway, or we think about a highway, the on-ramp, off-ramp with education, so we have people who need to get to work quickly, the certificate can help do that, and they can continue to work. And then if they want to get the other certificate, there's automation and mechatronics are the 2 areas. And putting those together, again, they're stackable to get the students the associate's degree in the engineering technology. So we're really excited about that and excited about building on that and building our enrollments in that particular area. The phlebotomy is something that we're also excited about. We had a conversation yesterday. The dean of the College of Health from Ohio University, he came down yesterday and met with Rick and his team, and we just had some great conversations, not only about what's going on with the phlebotomy program, but how we can work to translate some of the work there and the experiences and opportunities to other programs in health. So we're having a lot of good conversations around those particular things. We're really excited to, what my goal has been in this seat since I've been here is to look at how we can continue being good partners and work with Rick to identify opportunities where Ohio University can come in and help serve this community. So some of you have heard me say that before. That's our primary goal. And hopefully we'll have a new dean in place. We have started that search process. So we're hoping to have that. You'll still see me, just probably not as much, but I'll still be around. But I'm just excited to be part of this partnership. And I'll say, my gentleman sitting next to me, Dean Tudor, earlier this year, I was still a part of this partnership, but from a distance. So as he took a great opportunity to join Hocking College, I've had the opportunity to be more up close with the campus, with the community here in Fairfield County. And it's been a really good thing to learn about all the great things that are going on here. So we're excited about it. We're excited to be here. And we're looking forward to continuing our partnership with you.
That's a tough question.
Yes, sir.
One, nice to meet you. Appreciate you. When I think about this, I'll call them 2 programs, the engineering tech and the phlebotomy. I can kind of get my mind around phlebotomy, and understanding the pathway between what they're learning and how that would lead to employment, for example. I'm not as up to speed, I guess, on the engineering tech side.
Yeah.
I just have a perception that each employer has their own unique systems that they need people to understand, kind of thing. And the engineering tech, would maybe provide a foundational baseline more so than that direct experience that they would need for that employer. Am I reading that right?
You are right on the money. So with the engineering tech program and the 2 certificates, there is a baseline of technology and a baseline of skill that's going to be needed across most advanced manufacturing areas. And so we do believe that this program covers that. And in most positions or most jobs, when the employer brings you in, there are certain things they want you to know that they're going to teach you and train you on. But from the basic perspective, from advanced manufacturing, we believe these certificates that's the feedback we've gotten from most folks, is that it does provide that baseline. And we've had a couple of meetings here recently with folks in the area, and I'm trying to think of some of the companies. I do know we met with Goodyear, which is not too far. Maybe that's in Hebron. I'm not familiar if that's in the county or not.
Magna was there.
Magna was there. Yes. So
Service Solutions.
So they have talked to us, and we presented this to them, and they definitely see a need for this, again, because of that basic level of skill that they're looking for. They do get from the certificate. So it does fit that, but hopefully being able to get folks in the job so then they can be trained on specialized things.
My colleague, Commissioner Lewatis, has any questions at this point.
I don't have any questions, but I absolutely want to show my appreciation for willingness to work with us on the many programs we expect to go forward in the future. And what a good working relationship we have with High University. I appreciate your willingness to continue that relationship.
Thank you. Absolutely. And as I mentioned previously, when the community wins, we win. So when we can help place people in jobs and we can help improve the quality of living for the community that we serve, we win. So it's been a pleasure getting to know Rick and work with him and throw ideas, things up against the wall, see what sticks, what doesn't, look at opportunities to do things. And we're having those conversations now, and we're excited about some of the opportunities that lie ahead. So I'm incredibly excited and honored to be here. I really appreciate it.
And so, at the end of the day, it's all about the young people and
Absolutely.
opportunities. And so we have this, the workforce center, and we have some of these young people for the first time in their life, they've never experienced anything like that, and see what the opportunities are. And I think it's a great pathway for future, not just here, but throughout the state.
It's something about when you can provide people with the skill, and when you can provide, you can increase knowledge and awareness, which is why I love higher ed so much. I've always said an unsuccessful student becomes an unproductive citizen. So it's our duty and our job to kind of help expose students to these different opportunities so that they don't feel like there's nothing for them. Yeah, and I believe this partnership and what we're doing is doing just that.
So thank
you. Yeah. Thank you all very much.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see everybody. I want to echo Dr. McNeal's comments about how positive this partnership is, but also how wonderful it is to be out in various communities, not just this one, but even out of state, and be able to talk about what we've been able to build here over the last several years. I can assure you that this plan, this model, is getting a lot of attention. So I'm presenting on just this project in Nashville next month. My boss, President Young, is doing the same thing in Las Vegas later on this fall. This is getting a lot of attention. So, when you go to a conference, you got to put together a proposal, right? And they're accepting this proposal, right? This business about a partnership where Enlightened, and I mean that seriously, Enlightened County government hooks up with a community college and a 4-year major national research university and builds something like this as a pipeline for workers. And What I can tell you, and again, I'll talk a little bit about what Hocking College is doing and how we're contributing here in a second. But being a part of the Central Ohio community, what we're finding is that the need for workforce is actually becoming more acute. If you look at the data, if you look at the labor statistics, it's actually becoming more acute. So it's amazing how, this group had the foresight to get out ahead of it, and we're still trying to catch up. I mean, it really is quite staggering. But again, these are good problems to have to be in Central Ohio where workforce is in such demand. So just to talk a little bit about some of the things that we're doing here from Hocking College, two things that sometimes you just don't think about. One is driver's education. So being 54, almost 55 years old, you think about becoming 16, you want to get your driver's license right away. This is something that we're trying to remedy at Hocking College. That is not quite there. But again, if you don't have a driver's license, you can't fulfill your work-related responsibilities and get to work. The other is CDL. So I became acutely aware of the need for CDL drivers by attending meetings with the Fairfield County ESC and talking to the superintendents, right? So there's a shortage of teachers, but one of the other huge shortages, of course, is with bus drivers. Nobody can find them, right? So we're trying to help fix that as well. Probably what you're more familiar with in regard to Hocking College's contribution are the skilled trades pre-apprenticeships. I remember when I joined the community about 3 years ago and meeting Rick, I think the magic number was 700. Is that the number of 700 high school students that were graduating?
Don't go to college.
They don't go to college, and we need a plan for it. And this is, frankly, getting back, referencing those labor statistics I was mentioning a little bit ago, we will need every single one of those persons, newly minted high school graduates, working in Fairfield County and Central Ohio to build this labor force that is desperately needed. Again, these are good problems to have, don't get me wrong, with all of the attention that's being paid to this region, especially in the form of advanced manufacturing, but we'll need every single one of them. So carpentry, electrical, HVAC, think of all the construction trades desperately needed. And they're so desperately needed, I can assure you it's actually challenging to find instructors that are willing to leave the private sector for a while and actually go teach these things. Again, good problems to have, but still challenges nonetheless. We certainly want to investigate additional adult level programming so that we're close to those that need higher education soon. And a couple of things that I want to talk about where I'm very, very proud to be part of this partnership. And I know it's been celebrated, but I want to celebrate it one more time if I could, is the joint effort and lobbying to secure $4.5 million for this particular project from the state. Again, Hocking College walking hand in hand with Ohio University and Fairfield County government and convincing the state legislature to see how valuable this project is and how much of a model it can be. It actually, we're in the midst of super rapids funding and we're all going to our meetings and, doing the stuff that needs to be done. But it actually came up in yesterday's meeting to how valuable this can be in terms of synergies. And when you think about rapids funding and things of that nature, how institutions can kind of come together and secure funds and actually wind up with more bandwidth through those partnerships. And then the last thing, which is briefly mentioned here a second ago, is the joint apprenticeship program that we're trying to build. Again, the same three partners: county government, Ohio University, Hocking College. Just about a little over a month ago, we had 13 manufacturers in the same room trying to build the same, or I should say, a joint apprenticeship program. So one of the challenges we have with workforce needs is attracting people into the profession, attracting young persons or career changers into advanced manufacturing, getting them to understand what it is and how it's very different from just even a generation ago. So they're all in the same room. What we'd like to do is have all these students/employees come to the same classes, right? Hocking College, OU working together, and then have them all go out to their employers, right? So we had 13 in the same room, and a special thanks to Rick's shop as well as Stephanie Bosco's shop with the City Economic Development for helping me get some of them to the table. Everybody's busy. But I was very, very proud of that. We were able to work through a common curriculum. We're going to meet again next month to try to hammer out all the details and get it ready to go. So that is an exciting thing. So you think about this war for talent, right? But we had all these manufacturers that were going to sit next to each other, build the thing, then they'll battle over the employees a little bit later. So it was kind of exciting. So that's all I wanted to share with you. I could certainly take any questions if you have any.
Questions, but appreciate your kind words. National. I had asked staff recently about words. Just I found myself curious, like how many have we got? It seems like a lot in the last 10 years. And I learned that over the last 10 years, just in terms of national awards, 22 the counties received, 3 for economic development, workforce, and 19 for other things. And staff asked if I wanted them to go ahead and figure out how many state or regional awards we received. I said, no, just stop there. It's a tremendous number. Having relationships like we have now with the High University and Hocking College, we now have an open dialogue with the chancellor for higher education that we didn't previously have. Someone who maybe had heard about what was going on here and kind of knew something was happening here, but is now kind of really interested in what's going on here. And I don't know if fan's going to be the right word, but I think on their way to being a fan, which is important. I don't know if you were there at the beginning, but I feel like you were there,
Not at the very beginning.
But I really appreciate your support and work with us on this. So that explanation you gave as far as like that baseline and then trying to work those out, into the employers, I love it. And just appreciate what y'all are doing. Let me give my colleague, Commissioner Lewatis, an opportunity to ask any questions or make any comments that he would like.
So Dr. Tudor, and thank you for everything you do as well. So, having conversation with the governor, lieutenant governor, the chancellor, state representatives, there's one magic word: collaboration. And they love that word because when we collaborate, we get the job done, right? And so that's what we're doing. We're getting the job done and continue to collaborate. Okay, thank you.
You got it. All right. Thank you very much.
All right, so some of the what's next things. On the driver's ed side, the commissioners were gracious enough to purchase vehicles for Fairfield Union and Lancaster schools to provide driver's ed at the schools. Hocking College is going to provide those services. They've retrofit the car so the passenger can brake and it can be safe. So that's been done. They're going to be wrapping the cars, looks like that, and those should be here in the next couple of weeks. And we'll start to help get that barrier of driver's license out of the way.
So just on the driver's ed issue, I was shocked to recently, within the last few months anyway, learn the statistical difference between those of us of my generation who rushed out to get their license and what those percentages look like now. I don't want to quote them because I'm going to get them wrong, but I think in my day it was high 80s to low 90s, and now I think we might be somewhere near the 50s. But I don't want to be 100% on that. But when you're talking about impediments that people have from where they are to where they want to be, which is hopefully gainfully employed, transportation is a huge part of that, which we're working on in a number of ways. But one of the ways that needs to be addressed is these young people that, back in the day, most of us, particularly if we lived on the wrong side of town, as soon as we turned 16, we got work. And the only way to get to work was to get a car. We had to do, we had to go through that stuff. And it's a different environment now, but that impediment of how am I going to get there if you don't have a license? And I don't know if it's a chicken or the egg issue, whether schools stop providing driver's ed because people stopped asking for it, or people stop getting it because they stopped providing it, or probably gray. It's always gray. It's never black and white, some combination of the two. But trying to get in that game there and eliminate that additional impediment, yeah, we're in on that. And if people are wondering, well, why Lancaster and Fairfield Union? You know, why not the other 6 districts in the county? Those two asked. I mean, we wouldn't have said no to anybody to try to solve that problem.
And we do have the opportunity at the Workforce Center too, where we're hoping to scale up those cars too, so the other schools would have options to come there. And one of the things that we do specifically with construction, you know, they need cars because they're going to different job sites, you know, sometimes every other week. So we provide free driver's ed to any student taking one of our Workforce Center programs, which is a huge selling point, which is why we have about 200 students right now going through the discovery days, and we'll see how many that we end up getting. And we're bringing students back. You know, a lot of you saw, can't forget her name, Carrie, Alexis, who was spoke at the graduation last year in HVAC, and she's killing it right now. And she's coming back and talking to students. And Carrie, how many did she convince to switch? Females did she convince to switch from phlebotomy to HVAC? Yeah, so that's awesome, and that's what's happening. So we're bringing the students back to talk about their stories. Some of the other new stuff that we have going on, obviously we have the 4.5 million. We are going to have a planning retreat in a couple of weeks to work out some of that, to figure out what do we want to look like in 5 years. Some of those programs that we're, you know, one of the first things we're going to be doing is parking lot, adding spaces, because we're running out of spaces on when we have events. So we're excited about that. We're going to add 117,
Yeah, it's 117.
something like that. And I want to thank John Coaches. He's been awesome with helping with that vision of what the Workforce Center can look like. So I appreciate that. And I also want to thank Bart Hampson and Stacy Nicely with that 4.5 million and other funds that we're getting, moving all those pieces around to figure out how it works. That's a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle, hopefully not Jenga. And we're figuring it out. So I appreciate that. ENGT lab renovation. Our goal is to have that done by hopefully next summer. We are going to have possibly as soon as next school year, a semiconductor certificate program with pathways into Intel for employment. So that'll only be offered by OU at the Fairfield County Workforce Center. So that's pretty cool. And our hope is that's going to build a lot of interest and get more students in the door. And whether they go work at Intel or stay local, either way is fine. And then healthcare, Dr. McNeal talked about that. We are looking at respiratory therapy, a 2-year program, which every hospital says that's their number one need. There's just not enough programs out there, and that would be housed at the Workforce Center. So we're moving forward on all those things. Looking forward. You talk about collaboration. We're all going to be in a room for 4 hours, you know, in a couple of weeks, working through all of this stuff and trying to come up with a good plan. So once again, I thank the commissioners for all of their support, Ani for all of her support in this, and our team, which has done an awesome job expanding and everything. So.
Stephanie, introduce your team.
Okay. When so Adam Sidlacco and Bailey Fields are with our Workforce Development Board team. You met Deshawn, Carissa Anderson with OU, Carrie Stone, who is our career navigator, and Jenny Sturgeon, who is our do it all organized. How many events do we have like on a weekly basis at the Workforce Center? So things like Habitat for Humanity's program where they do the Project Playhouse, things like that. Jenny does a great job doing that. And one last thing at the fair, we have these, and thanks to Adam and Bailey for helping with this, we have these virtual reality goggles, which we're going to bring to a future meeting that talks about career, what careers look like, and you put them on and it puts you like in a manufacturing facility or on a construction site. And we're going to have those at the fairgrounds. The fair is finding a space for us. We're taking a TV down there and going to work really with the 4-H students to do that, to try to talk about careers. So thanks to them for that. So that's going to be exciting.
Just curious about something, and I suspect we may not have been operating long enough to have data on this, but you may have some thoughts. Number of things that where education and workforce are related get impacted by variations in the unemployment rate. So, you have certain circumstances and situations when unemployment is very low and you deal with those. And then, you see changes in situations like, I know that when the unemployment rate goes up, some people look towards education to try to improve their situation in that gap period between that next job and there are things like that. What do you see as a potential impact on workforce center operations with potential fluctuations in the unemployment rate?
Well, with regional campuses, career tech schools, adult programming, whenever unemployment goes down, it's harder to find those adults to come in through the doors because they don't necessarily need to go through that training to get employed. So typically we see a drop, which is why we're trying to focus on what populations we can impact. So for example, Deshawn worked in a program with the courts where we had 8 individuals on probation that came in and went through an OU engineering manufacturing program for how many weeks was it? 4 weeks. So that was awesome. We're trying to find these populations to get them in. That's why we're working with high school seniors before it's too late. But ironically, Corey, if you want to talk about just how busy the OMJ Center has gotten despite a low unemployment rate, we're actually at a point where we're running out of funds for training.
That's true. There has been a significant increase in the demand for people coming in looking for training, looking to get into training programs. Some of the ones that Rick and his team has mentioned in terms of CDL training, skilled trade training. So yeah, we're now at the point where we're actually trying to find additional funds to be able to accommodate some of the folks who are coming in.
Yeah, and I guess the reason I ask that is it's hard, if you look back at historical trends, it's hard to imagine the unemployment rate going much lower. And so imagine that be a time in the near term where it ticks up. And it's certainly what the Fed wants to happen. And then be curious to see how that plays out in terms of what our experience is at the workforce center. Dean Tudor?
Yeah, no,
Not Dean anymore, I'm sorry.
I
What's your title?
What's that?
What's your new title?
Oh, Executive Vice President.
Vice President.
Just something. No, but what I would tell you is that, when you think about, if you really look at, and I'm going to take my word for it, I mean, this is all up on the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and Feds do a really good job of looking at things by region. Things are so acute in Central Ohio, they're probably going to get more so before they get better. So think about all the stuff that we have going on in our region, all right? Intel and then all the other manufacturers, think of the ones that we just had in the room just a few weeks ago. That doesn't account for all the firms that are now going to come here and bolt themselves on as suppliers to all this. It will get even tighter regionally. So if you look at our regional unemployment rate, and that's the group that we're trying to serve, and this project was set up to serve Fairfield County and the employers here, right? Others will probably feed off of it for sure, but it will get more acute before it gets better. So in an odd way, we cannot train people fast enough. Now, it's up to us in higher ed. We realize at some point that we're going to have to change the way we do things as well. Some of our education is going to have to be based on stackable certificates. There's been a movement within the state for quite some time. OU's just put out a couple in engineering. That's a step in the right direction. But just as you had said, as Rick had said, those that come in, come out, come in, come out, you're going to see much more of that is what I'm going to call high skilled training is going to be in huge, huge demand as these firms continue to innovate, get new equipment, find new ways to do things. It's probably going to get worse before it gets better. And again, these aren't bad problems. These are good problems to have in a region where you've got a growing economy, but at least we have something built out as an infrastructure to address that, where other regions that look like us demographically and economically don't have that built out just yet. And that's going to make us also a very attractive place to locate or relocate or start a business.
So if I could ask another question, Rick. Some time ago, I'm going to try to predict the exact number of months ago or something, but there was some news, hint, indication, or whatever that there was going to be some nexus between Intel and our workforce center. What's going on there, and what's that timeline look like?
So OU got a grant for Intel with a group called the Ascent Group. And what it is, it's a partnership with OU and various community colleges and career centers, including Eastland Fairfield and Hocking College. And one of the things they're building out is a one-year certificate program, which some of this $4.5 million is going to be used to purchase equipment for that. Now, a lot of the components of the engineering tech program already fit what Intel is looking for, but there's that one extra spot, like talked about the mobile clean lab that you guys are looking
Yeah,
at.
so there is the focus of the engineering tech program has been a part of our campus for some time. The building of these certificates, along with the you just mentioned it, the chip, not the chip. Yeah, semiconductor. Yes, thanks, Carissa. With the semiconductor certificate we're looking to put together, these are part of those steps that are connected to the work and the resources we're getting from Intel. So if you look at the addition of the certificates, the two that I mentioned earlier, those are new that we've kind of built into this so to make them stand alone and stackable. And with the semiconductor that's coming on, that'll be an additional opportunity for that.
And the goal is next fall for that to be in place. And I got, I don't even know you, I got an email from somebody from your engineering department yesterday that the project lead for Intel might be visiting next week to come to the Workforce Center and talk to us about stuff. So that'll be hopefully moving that
We'll
forward.
look forward to hearing how that conversation goes. Commissioner Lewatis.
You know, as we talk about jobs and, you know, I think the state's unemployment rate right now is 3.2, which is lower than the national average. It's one thing to have a job, it's another thing to have a skill. And with skills, and I've always believed this, and I think it's been mentioned, with skills come higher paying jobs. And with higher paying jobs, you solve a lot of social issues. And I think that's the end of the day, what's really important.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was just mentioning to Ani, I mean, allotting a little bit more time to this discussion than we do some of our listen and learns. But that's just another smaller scale indication of how invested we feel in this. And so if it takes a little longer than another issue, then okay, that's a indication of priority that we put on these relationships. And ultimately, you know, I guess maybe Commissioner Lewatis might see it in a more sophisticated way than I do, but it's pretty simple in my head. The employer needs somebody to work, person needs a job. What are the issues that prevent those two people from hooking up? That transportation? Is that skill set? Is that some sort of financial impediment that person's experiencing? We are really interested in what those impediments are and what we can reasonably do to try to alleviate the impediments between getting that person that wants to work together with that person that needs them to work. And that, for us, it's that simple. So y'all can use your bigger words and stuff to say that more eloquently, but for us, it's that simple. What's the impediment? Why does this person who wants to work, why are they not hooked up with that employer that wants to hire somebody? And what can we do to close that gap? That's where we are, I think, on a most basic level, and that's what's driving us. So, you know, I think in terms of, you know, the commissioner's continuing support, which is not in question, but what generates that support is the alleviation of impediments. That's how we see it anyway. You all can look at it in a more sophisticated way, but that's how we see it.
We literally said the same thing yesterday in talking with the Dean of Health at OU because he was talking about childcare. He's like, what are you guys doing with childcare? I'm like, okay, we're not there yet. We've got a lot of others, but one by one, we're chip transit, housing. We're trying to chip away these impediments.
Well, right, and you know, there's a little laugh there on childcare, but that's probably 4, maybe 5, somewhere on that list. I mean, I think transportation, skill set, and housing are certainly, you know, up there in the top 3 in terms of what we think we can influence. You know, I think we're going to get to some point on the scale down to additional impediments where, you know, we just can't reach that far out into that problem, you know, and be able to address that some other aspect of the community or the business community or society, that's probably going to be, you know, fall somewhere else because I know we can't do it all. But going to go about as far as we can go. So thank you all very much for being with us today, and the folks that are joining you with us, we appreciate you all. We get the opportunity to, you know, I guess receive awards and stuff or whatever, but it's just it's y'all are doing this. We're not doing this. You all are, and we thank you for that. And folks, we're going to go on into the other parts of our meeting. No offense taken if you have other obligations. We understand. At this time, the commission sets aside an opportunity for voters and taxpayers to address the commission. If you would like to do so, please come to the podium and begin by stating your name and residential address. We do have a 3-minute rule today. It's not a guideline, it's a rule today. Under those terms and conditions, is there anyone who would like to address the commission at this time?
Morning.
Good morning.
It's good to be here today. And to me, one of the key things that we have that would help with the problem that they were just talking about, unemployment, it's the illegals that are coming across the border, close the border, and that would take away a lot of the pressure problem that we have in today's society. I'd also like to talk about a little bit about taxation. Every dollar the government spends is taken from people, either through taxes or inflation. Inflation is a tax to you and me because everything we buy goes up. The average American worker is paying more in inflation than he is paying in taxes. This is the problem that comes out. And some of us are old enough to remember that we were taught civics in junior high, grade 6, 7, 8, in that area. And we took a test, and we had to pass that test and to get a certificate, at least when I was in school, which has been a few years. And you had to pass that test with the 70% at least to get qualified for that certificate. Recently, a company did run a survey on giving a test about civics or government, that's state, federal, local governments. And this test they gave to every state in the union. They run this survey. 5 states were in the top 10%. I'm not going to name the states. I could, but I'm not going to name them. And then we had the top 20%. 4 more states came in. And then they had 30% passed. And 4 more states came in. And then at 40%, 3 more states came in. But the big group came in at 50%. And by the way, that's where Ohio is in the 50%. That's the only one I'm going to mention. That's a total of 24 came in the 50% basis. And that makes 40. So there's 10 states that came in with less than 50% average. So it's something that we ought to be able to correct.
Thank you, sir.
And I would like to pray with you before I leave today.
Please briefly.
Lord, we thank you and praise you for this time. These men in this group and the ladies are really working hard. And they need your guidance and directions. May they turn to you each day to take time to ask for your guidance and direction in everything they say and do. Amen.
Thank you, Rick. Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission at this time?
Good morning. I'm Judy Stemen. First of all, seems like COVID never misses a week. FDA approves new COVID shots, even for infants as young as 6 months, based on minimal data or testing. And this professor of geriatric pharmacotherapy at the Maryland School of Pharmacy and director of research for the Center for Drug Therapy and Aging accused the FDA of acting unethically. Next, COVID vaccine found to have negative effectiveness. And I have the Fairfield citizens really want to know if this is being promoted again in this county, and when will Fairfield County have an answer for us? Next, CIA whistleblower exposes agency's cover-up on COVID origins. He has given testimony to congressional committees in detail and made statements that CIA has been making a great deal to shift the investigations from theory that COVID originated from Wuhan Institute in China. And whistleblowers' allegations were revealed in letters from the House Coronavirus Subcommittee Chairperson, Brad Winstrup of Ohio, and the House Intelligence Committee Chairman, Mac Turner. Next, top EU leader calls on public to rise up against mandates and lockdowns. It's all coming back. And Christine Anderson, Germany's member of the European Parliament, issued a statement calling on citizens around the world to rise up peacefully against the return of COVID restrictions. And the citizens deserve to know what your county is going to be doing for this county on this matter. So please let us know. Also, the UN's new political declaration on pandemics. The WHO noted in 19 that pandemics are rare and insignificant in terms of overall mortality over the last century. Now it's decided that the 2019 old normal population was simply oblivious to impending annihilation. Now we have to ask a question other. We've been filled with so much and so many contradictions and lies and downright foolishness, one can't begin to shoot down all the lies about COVID. Next, last, Bill Gates' COVID profiteering is exposed. Global terrorist is what he's being named. The Post also exposes how Gates manipulated the public narrative during the pandemic to boost the profits of his trades. Gates purchased over 1 million shares, price of $18 per share. The user explained this, and then Gates dumped his stocks in November of 21 at an average sale price of $300 per share. Gates on the same day said, we need a new way of doing the vaccines because the vaccines didn't stop transmission, despite all of his previous claims to the contrary. Yes, and so the majority of the citizens feel that many persons on every level of government received something, just not as big as Gates. at taxpayers' expense financially and physically, and many other ways too. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to address the commission at this time? Appreciate it. Administration update.
American Rescue Plan update from the 30.6 received, 28.6 has been appropriated, 15.3 expended, and 4.4 encumbered or obligated. In today's resolutions, you'll see some adjusting appropriations and launching some already appropriated projects. The review packet does contain a list of administrative approvals, and a couple of those ARP resolutions I will point out for you did have a reduction of appropriations for a couple expenditure object categories there that we're reconciling. And then also purchasing of engineer's office radios that were an ARP project. That's good processed. And I thought there was one other. Yes, there's also a resolution for support for tax credit development proposed by Woda Cooper Companies for workforce housing. This is where you're pledging support of ARP funds if they are successful with their application. We also have a resolution to authorize the establishment of a new fund, and this is for the grant funds that the Department of Medicaid is granting that will eventually find their way onto Fairfield Medical Center. A couple of complications that we appreciate the prosecutor's office and Jeff Porter's assistance and working through this grant, and then ultimately a sub-grant agreement. We also have a resolution to approve the contract bid award for the Village of Baltimore waterline improvement project, and a resolution authorizing the approval of a CDBG agreement to outline the county and village's responsibilities regarding the CDBG allocation program funds for the Village of Pleasantville. And we have Safa here today. And do you have anything to add to that, Safa, or just here for questions?
No, thank you very much. If you do have any questions, let me know.
Okay, thank you very much for coming. Bart, budget review.
We are we'll be finishing up, reaching out to everybody about the 2024 budgets this week for questions that we may have. And we continue to look forward to working with everybody as we work through all the open questions heading towards the budget hearings starting in October.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, so, and Bart, I think you already know this, but I think from your vantage point, the conversations you're having with people regarding their budget requests, if they're outside of current parameters, or those requests are outside of parameters as they may be adjusted in the future, that's going to result in a discussion with the commissioners. And I'm not cutting you off at the knees because I think your work's important, but you can't say to someone that their budget request that exceeds parameters is going to be approved by the commissioners. I mean, it might not. So I just want you to feel full-throated in your ability to say to folks, if you're outside of parameters, then, you're in the gray zone at best in that situation. Thank you.
All right, Rochelle, calendar review and invitations received, please.
Okay, the Fairfield 33 Development Alliance is holding a board meeting tomorrow, September 20th at 8:30 a.m. at the Fairfield County Workforce Center. The Office of the County Auditor is holding a real estate summit on September 21st at 8 a.m. at Ricketts Hall located at the Fairfield County Fairgrounds. Family and Children First Council has a meeting September 21st at 8:30 a.m. at the Fairfield County Agricultural Center. The Director of Ohio Department of Job and Family Services will be visiting Fairfield County Job and Family Services on September 21st at 10:45 a.m. The Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Agency has a Board of Directors meeting on September 21st at 11:30 a.m. at the LFCAA Recycling and Outreach Center. The Violet Township Fire Department is hosting their annual open house on October 1st from 1 to 3 p.m. at Station 591 located at 21 Lockville Road in Pickerington. WLOH is celebrating their 75th anniversary on November 11th at 4 p.m. at the Mill Event Center here in Lancaster. Under correspondence, We received the Fairfield County Municipal Court for August 2023 Criminal Traffic Division Fee Report. The Lancaster Eagle Gazette published an article on September 11th titled "Commissioners to Allow for More Time Discussion of its Comprehensive Plan." An email and memorandum of understanding regarding the Fairfield County Workforce Center was received from Randy Gardner, the Chancellor for the Ohio Department of Higher Education. An email was received from a resident regarding the land use plan. Another email was received from a resident regarding solar projects. The Fairfield County District Library provided a flyer regarding discovery kits that can be checked out from the library. The kits are part of an Ohio Department of Education grant and are available for children. The Ohio Department of Taxation sent a final determination regarding exemption of real property from taxation for 320 East Locust Street. Dr. Carrie Brown, County Auditor, provided a memo dated September 14th containing the following subjects: collecting data for the 2025 sexennial update, application for remission of late payment penalties, stable accounts, and resource for school district income tax information. The Commissioner's Office received a news release from the Fairfield County Department of Health on September 14th titled "FCHD Hosts Tire Recycling Event." County Auditor Dr. Carrie Brown provided her wins of the week. Dr. Brown's office also provided a congratulatory note for the county commissioners, county administration, economic and workforce development, and the workforce partners for receiving the 2023 Ohio Economic Development Association's Workforce Program of the Year Award. Fairfield County Job and Family Services sent their fall newsletter, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities sent their September newsletter. That is all we have.
Thank you, Rochelle. That's all, Commissioner.
All right, under whole business, I have none. Commissioner Levacy.
Thank you.
New business, I have none. Commissioner Levacy.
Thank you.
Jeremiah, how are you today?
I'm good.
Good. Well, you're our county engineer. We're pleased to have you join us at this meeting. Any issues or concerns or things that you'd like to share at this point?
One thing, after all of our interruptions on Coon Path Road, as nice as that ended up turning out, being done on time, which was everything. ODOT has approached us because they feel they have a need to close Coon Path 158. They built around it. So we've pushed back on that a little bit, wanted to do it, maintain traffic. That's not looking like it's going to be possible for some understanding reasons. So likely next year, we're going to see another impact of that area.
What I was just on a separate note, when does your union up? Your union contract?
Next year.
Is that right? I couldn't remember the timeline on that.
Either this year or next year.
I agree with that.
Well, when's the sheriff? Sheriff.
Sheriff's this year.
It's this
You're this year. So when would you expect those conversations to get started? Because if you're up this year for negotiations, then the result of those negotiations will be in the 24 budget, right?
Right.
In theory, I mean, I understand sometimes we drift into that follow-on year and then backdate the situation, but from a budgeting standpoint, we're curious as to when those conversations might begin.
To be honest with you, I wasn't thinking about when we were going to do it. I was just worried about getting through it. But the union has not approached me, and that typically takes place around August, maybe September. So we're getting into the later part of that. So I'm going to touch base with them and make sure I don't get stuck at the end of the year with very good time for it.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Dr. Brown, how are you today?
You.
Good. Appreciate you being with us.
There are several different legislative efforts relating to adjustments of the property tax structure. Sometimes that structure is addressed to the appraisal side as opposed to the actual taxation side. For those legislative efforts, I would always be supportive of those things that address the taxation side, simply because that's where the issues are. So with that, there's the 7070, which you may have heard about. It's proposed legislation, I think it's House Bill 263, which indicates that you are age 70, have been in your home for 10 years, and I think there might be a couple other like homestead related requirements that you'd make less than $70,000 a year, then your taxation would be frozen at the current level. There's some issues with the current wording, but I think the idea is really good in order to expand the homestead program to, allow for citizens to be able to stay in their home. The owner occupancy credit has not been proposed as a legislative change, but it is something that the association and several auditors are proposing, instead of a percentage to be a flat rate and an increased flat rate to reduce taxes. Following the meeting with Treasurer Sprague, he asked that county auditors be communication partners with the stable accounts. So I'll just mention them now. They are accounts that those with disabilities can have for savings that do not affect their Medicaid or SSI. And so we've been communicating that with multiple partners, and that's been a very helpful thing. And I understand that now it's age 26 and below, and that's going to be increased to age 45, 46 and below. So that's good news for that. I do want to also say thank you to John and Garrett in particular with EMA. The CERT, the Community Emergency Response Team training, is very well done. Garrett is a really good find, and so I like to just say that publicly. He has really been a professional, knowledgeable, and on-time proposals, for those kinds of trainings, and I really appreciate how he has done that, and I've enjoyed the trainings as well. Went to the Glass Museum grand reopening, and have a number of different products we received from there that we're using as our traveling trophies. Very popular. So if you haven't had a chance to be at the Glass Museum, really go into their refurbished gift shop. It's really quite impressive, very colorful. And then the Smek Farm Park District celebration, the Harvest Days were this past weekend. There's a lot of good participation, as well as maps and other kinds of awareness things distributed. So our district did a good job with that.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us. You mentioned the Glass Museum. Might have crossed each other. I was there briefly for that opening of the Anchor exhibit. Had a chance to chat with CEO Eichhorn, and as folks may or may not know, Plant 1 has 3 furnaces that could be operated to produce glass. They're currently operating 2 furnaces, and he expressed, I'm going to call it a little bit of optimism, that there was a shot that they might have the need to open that 3rd furnace in a medium horizon kind of way. I guess it surprised me a little bit, because I just kind of have this view of glass manufacturing as being, tough and more historical than future oriented. So the thought that that 3rd furnace might come online was kind of made me feel good. I don't know, but thank you for being with us today. Is there any other issue item that anybody'd like to bring the attention of the commission at this time?
Thank you for all the first responders with Brian. That went off pretty well. It was a record event. You're in the company of greatness there, back there in the left-hand corner. That was the hardest working man in all of the night. So we appreciate everything. The Sheriff's Office, Walnut Township Fire, and all the other sheriff's offices, fire departments have helped.
Keeping things real. I heard it was a great concert. I heard getting in was okay, and I heard getting out was a little different.
Getting out, it's always the plan. It's always the problem with that event. 20,000 people all leaving at once out of 2 exits in the dark and potentially under the influence is always a scary proposition.
Yeah, I was out of state during that concert, but I was getting reports from folks who were at their first and then their second and their 3rd hour.
Some people even thought that they should call 911 and ask traffic be reduced.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you all for your work on that. Glad to have Luke Bryant once again entertaining folks in our county. Stay down here. Please rise if you are able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which proceeds one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Michelle, do we have any announcements?
We do not.
Move on to the approval minutes for September 12, 2023. Second, discussion. Please call to roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Minutes passed 2-0. From the Commissioner's Office, Resolution 2023-9.19.a, a resolution authorizing the reduction of appropriations in major expenditure object categories for ARPA Fund 2876.
Under Commissioners, I move resolutions A, B, C, and D.
Second, discussion.
We spoke to these previously.
Please call to roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, Resolution 2023-19 or -9.19.e, a resolution to approve a reimbursement for sheriff costs for Ethernet services paid to AT&T as a memo expenditure for Fund 26.
So move.
Second, discussion. Please call to roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From the Fairfield County Engineer, Resolution 2023-9.19.f, a resolution to request for appropriations for additional unanticipated receipts of memo receipts and memo expenses for Fund 3445 HOC 08 Bridge Replacement.
So move.
Second, discussion. Please call to roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From Fairfield County Family and Children First Council, Resolution 2023-9.19.g, a resolution approving an account-to-account transfer fund 7521, sub-fund 8280.
So move.
Second, discussion. Call to roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From Fairfield County Job and Family Services, Resolution 2023-9.19.h, a resolution to approve a memo receipt and expenditure for Fairfield County Job and Family Services, Fund 2758, reimbursing Fund 2018.
Under Fairfield County Job and Family Services, I move resolutions H, I, and J.
Second, discussion. Please call to roll.
Commissioner Levesey? Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. For Fairfield County Regional Planning Commission, Resolution 2023-9.19.k, a resolution to approve the contract bid award for the CDBG PY 2022 Village of Baltimore Monroe Street Waterline Improvement Project in the amount of $129,613.
Under Fairfield County Regional Planning Commission, I move resolutions K and L.
Second, discussion. Please call to roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From the Fairfield County Sheriff, Resolution 2023-9.19.m, a resolution approving an account-to-account transfer, Fund 2503.
So move.
Second, discussion. Please call to roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. From Lancaster Fairfield Community Action Agency, Resolution 2023-9.19.n, a resolution to approve the fiscal year 2024 CFLP Solid Waste District Recycling Services and Recycling and Litter Prevention Grant application for Fairfield County.
And we have Jennifer here. Thanks for coming, Jennifer. Anything you want to add?
It's basically just the same operating expense money as we've done in the past. No major expenses, outside of the normal, accounting for increase in insurance, increased wages. So nothing big or outside. I know you guys have reviewed it. Standard from previous years.
And
off topic a little bit, but I'm curious, how so far have you found your working relationship with the change in administration at CFLP?
Everything's going great. I mean, I had a good relationship with Carol, so things were pretty smooth. But Kim's, I talk to Kim on a regular basis. I talk to the other counties, directors on a regular basis. So, I mean, everything. We're, working on finalizing all of our budgets. I just talked to Licking County yesterday. She had some questions about some things with her budget, wanted some advice. So, we're doing a really good job between counties working together. So everything is going very smoothly. We just had a 4-county roundtable discussion where we had 15 participants on. So there's a lot of good things going on.
Thank you for that update. Further discussion?
I don't think it's made a motion yet. So I'll make that motion.
Really?
Yes.
Second.
Honey kind of got ahead of it a little bit.
All right, well, we've got a motion and a second, and this is on the 09.19.n. Further discussion. Let's call the roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. On the payment of bills, Resolution 2023-9.19.o, a resolution authorizing the approval of payment of invoices for departments that need Board of Commissioners approval.
Second, discussion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Levesey?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Motion passes 2-0. The next regular meeting is scheduled for September 26th at 9 a.m.
All right, is there any other issue item that you'd like to bring the attention to the commission at this time?
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion to adjourn in a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The commission is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.